Hello, BookTube. All right, we're continuing on. We had a deep cleansing breath yesterday, and now we're continuing on with this library tour. We are in the fireplace. I have a bricked-in fireplace here in the front room, and we did the books on the mantle, and then we're working our way down. I put 2 bookcases in this fireplace and just filled them with miscellaneous stuff. So these all the rest of these videos, almost all of them are going to be miscellaneous. I think we hit a themed batch later on. But for today, we're on the bottom shelf of this first bookcase. And we are doing, because this section is just out of control, I have been, not only did I fill the shelves with books, but then I stuffed books onto the shelves in front of them. And we're doing those front books first on all of these shelves. And I want to stress that because that shouldn't be true. Those books shouldn't be there. If you can't see all of your books with your eyes without moving things with your hands, then your library is out of control. Mine certainly is. So we'll take care of those stacks first, and then we'll move on to the books behind them. Okay, so the first one is terrific. The first one is just absolutely terrific. This is by Greg Hurwitz, and it is The Survivor. This is one of those prestige mass markets that are slightly taller than a normal mass market, and there's a review in here in the Washington Post. That was my review. I reviewed it for the Post, and I'm also blurbed on the book. And Hurwitz is prolific. He writes tons and tons of things. They're all fairly good. Everything that I've read by him is fairly good. But boy, oh boy, did he hit a home run with this book. Just incredible. And the reason why the cover looks the way it does, the cover has a man standing on a roof, is because that's how this book starts. With an Army veteran who has a deteriorating, withering disease and decides, rather than be a burden to myself and my family, I'm going to kill myself. So he scouts out the buildings in his city to find one with a very high ledge, a comparative rarity now. New buildings don't have them, so that he can jump off that ledge to his death. And he finds one, and he makes his way up there, and then he's standing on the ledge, and he's ready to do it. He doesn't lack for courage at all. When then he thinks, well, no, if I jump, I'm going to make a mess on the street and maybe land in front of somebody's kid. What I need to do is sidle around the building until I find the building's dumpster and dive into that. And so he does that, and when he does that, he finds himself outside a little window of a bank up on one of those tall floors, a private bank. And when he looks through the window, he sees that the bank is being robbed. He is looking at the bank being robbed. And his instincts kick in. He can't help it. Even when he's up there to kill himself, his instincts kick in. And he climbs through the window to help foil the robbery. And of course, he catches the robbers completely by surprise, because the one thing they weren't counting on was that somebody would be outside a window 20 stories above the ground. He manages to foil the robbery. That is the opening scene of the book, and it is incredible. Just the moment that scene came to Greg Hurwitz, he probably got up and danced. And before one of the criminals makes his getaway, he utters the cryptic word, "He will not be pleased," because of course there's a much higher evildoer involved, and a whole complicated plot evolves from that initial scenario and is fantastic. Just don't stop reading. And there's also there's a gimmick that happens throughout the book. Our hero is being haunted. He has a very literal form of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is taking the form of a ghost of a friend of his who died. And I always complain that contemporary writers, even contemporary thriller writers, just don't know how to end books. They just don't know what to do with the ending. Boy, oh boy, this is the exact opposite of that. The author remembers that ghost. He remembers all of the balls that he has in the air, and the ending is incredible. Incredible. In a way, even better than the beginning. And speaking as a hack of the first water, I'm deeply envious of the beginning. So I strongly recommend this book. If you haven't read it, you should just go and buy it and read it. Okay. All right, this next one is the old Portable series. Penguin did a series of great old mass markets. They made them really nicely, too, of Portable so-and-so and then they would get an editor to, you know, take this author, this historian, this whatever, and make a portable volume of their work. And the portable volumes, the portable library, the Viking Portable Library, took off. It did well, and they are almost all volumes worth having and reading. This one is the portable Coleridge, and I reinforced it because I go back to it all the time. In fact, I go back to this more than I do to my bigger editions of Coleridge. This is just handier. I really wish that that Penguin would reprint the portable libraries, the whole series. They did for a time reprint them in a larger trade paperback, but the covers were ugly and the binding was noticeably bad. It was just like one dot of glue to hold the whole thing together, so it didn't hold together. I wish that they would bring them out in nice. Wouldn't it be? Oh, if I had my way. If I could just make a wish and have it happen. Those Penguin Classic Deluxe editions, I don't have any of them here. They're all in the other room. But the really well made, they have the deckled edges and the French flaps and newly commissioned artwork and all. If I had my way, I would have Viking Penguin reprint the whole of the Portable Library series in that format and have these things just back again. Because the scholarship and the editorial choices behind most of them are so good. Anyway, the larger point being, they're well worth your time to find. I know if you see it, if you go in a used bookstore and you see something that looks like an abridgment of some kind, you might shy away from it. I have myself said just in a Q&A just yesterday, I said that I don't typically like abridgments unless it's multi-volume works. And there is a Viking Portable abridged Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon, and it is really good. That is a multi-volume work. That their abridgment is the best one that I know of. But these aren't abridgments so much as they are pulling together bits and pieces of an author. Even John Bailey's Portable Tolstoy is worth having, and that he was faced with an utterly unenviable task. I recommend them all. If you see them, give it a try. Okay, this is another prestige style mass market paperback, also with a blurb by yours truly. This is Dragon Teeth. By Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton did not write this. He did not know about it. He did not think about it. He did not plot it. He did not put a fully worked out manuscript in a bottom drawer of his desk and it was just sitting there for 10 years. Well, no. No, this is Michael Crichton's estate hiring someone to write a Michael Crichton book. But nevertheless, it's about the bone wars of the 19th century. It's about rival paleontologists digging up dinosaur bones in the American West and realizing that the race was on to find the really great ones. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. Whoever they got to write it did a really good job. Doesn't do a really good job imitating Michael Crichton. It doesn't read like a Michael Crichton book, but it still does a really good job with the book. So, okay. All right. This is another anthology series. This was done by Del Rey, and this is something that if I had my way, the whole series would come back into print. And this one is the best of Cordwainer Smith. And there you have all of his characters on Alpha Ralpha Boulevard. There's Lost Samel. There's the guy with the chest plate is a scanner, because scanners live in vain, and a whole bunch of others. Cordwainer Smith is one of the great science fiction authors, and this book, The Best of Cordwainer Smith, it's a collection of his short stories, and it introduced him to an enormously wider audience. This is one of Del Rey's most successful best of books. But Del Rey did a whole bunch of these. They did well. I reflexively want to ask Mark Richardson. He's the person who would know. We could compare notes together. But Mark, wasn't it 20 of these at least that they did? Maybe more than that, including authors that you've never heard of, that only science fiction fans have heard of. And they had their own best of volume with newly commissioned cover artwork, usually a newly commissioned editorial introduction. And they brought these people, to a wider audience. And considering the pitiful state of science fiction and fantasy reprints right now, what I wouldn't give if Del Rey would just bring out all of these again. Just bring them out all again in trade paperbacks. I'm sure that the cover artwork, this is Darrell K. Sweet, but I'm sure that the covers are up for grabs. You could probably even match them with their original covers, and you should. You should. Because it's not just that you're doing a good turn for the science fiction fantasy publishing industry, it's that you're making new fans for your new books. So, this is fantastic. It is there. Maybe I shudder to say it may be the only best of volume of Del Rey that I have at the moment. We shall see, because we'll go through them all together. Okay, all right. This is Theodore Morrison's another one in the Viking Portable line. This is Viking Portable Chaucer, which has, what do we have here? All of the Canterbury Tales and all of Troilus and Cressida. Selections from the Book of the Duchess, the House of Fame, the Bird's Parliament, and the Legend of Good Women. The short poems. Just a terrific volume. Just a terrific introduction to Chaucer. That's what these things used to be for. That was their main bread and butter, is that they sold at schools. But they work for anybody. They're just fantastic. Oh no, is this the only one? Oh no. This is Literary Studies by Walter Bagehot, who is the subject of a fantastic new biography that I showed on this channel. That we've been talking about it. It comes out in July. And this is volume 2. Oh no, this is, what is this, an old, oh no, this is an old Dutton, before Dutton was Dutton. This is, so this is Butler and Thackeray and the Waverley novels and, wow, Macaulay and Dickens. But this is only volume 2. I don't have any of these others, I don't think. I don't think I have a complete literary essays of Bagehot, and I wish I did. He's really good. I never agree with him on anything, but I love reading about him. Okay, all right, this is another tiny hardcover. This is some essays of Thomas Carlyle, mostly bookish, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Goethe, Burns, Sir Walter Scott, Boswell Johnson. Just fun stuff. There he is, the life of the party in Victorian times. These things should not be out here, obviously. They're literary essays. They obviously belong in the other room in my collection of literary books. Let's press on. Okay, all right. This is an Oxford World Classics, the Anglo-Saxon World. This is also an anthology volume. It has all of Beowulf, but it has everything, lots of other things too. All the cream of the crop of Anglo-Saxon poetry, and really good introduction, really good notes. I think that's why I kept it when I've been getting rid of Oxford World Classics otherwise. Okay, this is H.J. Rose's book, Handbook of Latin Literature. Really fantastic reference guidebook to all of ancient Roman literature. Profiles of the authors, descriptions of the works. Really, really good, although redundant. I don't think I've ever used this. I don't think I ever have in the modern era of my writing about books. I don't think I've ever even thought of using it. Why I have a copy, I don't know. Okay. All right, this next one was an unexpected bestseller, and boy, oh boy, did it sell. It sold like crazy. I think, maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part, but I think it is actually being reprinted this year. This is Happiness is a Warm Puppy. And it's just this tiny little block of a thing. Happiness is a good old-fashioned game of hide and seek. Happiness is knowing how to tie your own shoes. There is Linus. And this caught on with the hippie culture. It became their happy space book and sold like crazy. So unexpectedly. Okay. I really should be doing this with Deb on the camera, but she's not here, so we'll do it without her. This is Romeo and Juliet, the guinea pig version. This is a guinea pig, Romeo and Juliet. I wish I had them all. I have Romeo and Juliet. I have, I think, a couple of others. But there's a larger series that I don't have of guinea pig interpretations of classic literature. All right, let's move on here. We're going to just keep going. This is a big Harper trade paperback, a very nice thing, although mine is falling apart, of the complete Western stories of Elmore Leonard. The great old pulpy cover. These are terrific. It's not retro and it's not condescending, and they're just terrific. Elmore Leonard wrote a great Western, including great Western short stories. They're just terrific. I strongly recommend it. If you see it, you're thinking, well, I know Elmore Leonard from, Freaky Deaky, or I know him for his hep, cool cat crime fiction. So maybe he wrote Westerns to break into the business, and why would I want to read that? He might have done that, but they're still worth reading. They're still incredibly worth reading. Okay, all right. This was the This was Triangle Classics did these a long time ago. This had to be what? Yeah, 2000. Good Lord, 20 years ago. They did a series. They did a series of reprints of gay classics. And I had a few of them. I kind of liked some of the cover designs. And this one is Gordon Merrick, who we've seen on this library tour just recently. This is The Lord Won't Mind and One for the Gods, with two men on a rubber raft on the cover. And I've kept this, but I think I think you'll agree that one of these has a better cover design than the other. But, I kept it anyway, this big trade paperback. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know that I don't think I've ever read either The Lord Won't Mind or One for the Gods in this format. I think every time I've wanted to read them, I've just grabbed my mass market paperback from the 1970s or 80s or whatever. Okay, this next one is a great novel. Not an author who's usually associated with great novels. People don't talk about him on BookTube. They don't talk about him anymore. This is Pete Dexter, and this is his novel Paris Trout, which is a great American novel. This is an amazing story about a thoroughly detestable man. And the havoc, the bloodshed, the tragedy that he just spews all around him in his life. And the man is named Paris Trout, and he is just a cancer in living form. So much so, and so effectively drawn so, that by the time in the book that a character opines there's a little of Paris Trout in all of us, you want to panic. You want to slam the book closed and say, no, no, I don't want any of him in me. But also all the secondary characters are drawn fantastically well. It's amazing. It's amazingly good. No. All right, this is Never Say Die by Anthony Horowitz. This is an Alex Rider story, and I got it from the publisher and loved it immediately because I love the Alex Rider novels. I think they're fantastic. Great hissable villains, great action. And I wrote about the latest one. It's a collection of Alex Rider short stories, and I'll be right on board for the new hardcover Alex Rider stories, the novel that comes out, I think, later this year. The only thing that I didn't like about the Alex Rider novels when they came out originally was their incredibly boring covers. They had incredibly boring covers. This is not an incredibly boring cover, and neither are any of these. Look at all those. Look at how they pop. So I was overjoyed to see this and see that there was new cover art that actually shows a person, that shows explosions, that shows sharks and snakes and whatnot, to reflect the globe-trotting, just over-the-top action of these novels. So I recommend them, of course, to you. I don't know how much of a YA reader you are. But I also recommend them if you are in the unenviable position of trying to get a YA-age boy to read. It's not always the easiest thing to do. That's when we tend to lose boy readers and gain girl readers. But if you're in that position, I would recommend getting an Alex Rider. Try an Alex Rider novel and see if that works. It might. Let's see here. Oh, okay. All right, this is a trade paperback of Frank O'Connor. This is edited by Michael Steinman. It's just a random collection of Frank O'Connor short stories. A Frank O'Connor reader. Boy, it's a perfect testament to how seldom I consult this book that I'm not 100% sure what's in here other than stories. If it means, there are some poetry translations, there are some nonfiction, and there are some essays. Okay, so this is including his essay about William Butler Yeats, which is well worth reading. They all are. He's a great short story writer, one of the greatest short story writers of the 20th century. And this is a fairly nice. This is a fairly nice trade paperback. I didn't quite remember that I had it. I think it was in the other room the last time we saw it. Okay, all right. This next one is Garth Risk Halberg. This is the review copy of his book City on Fire, his enormous book City on Fire, which I recently found in hardcover at a little free library just in order to reread it. This has all the pub sheet stuff and the reviews in it. I read it and was impressed. I very much liked it. It struck me rather alarmingly as the type of big, impressive debut that is followed by a lifetime of teaching and no more publishing. I hope I'm wrong about that, but it struck me. I've seen books like that, where if it's not a lifetime of teaching, it's certainly 20 years before you get, for instance, a follow-up to Shantaram or something like that. I worries me. That sort of thing worries me. Partly it's the book publishing industry that's to blame, because you do a book like this and they put you to work. They put you on the road doing publicity and nonstop, and then you're doing publicity for the paperback. You've got lined up interviews, and plus the life that you had before you did all that. Where are you going to find the time to write another book? And the more of that there is, the more celebration there is of the first book, the more you feel there's pressure on you for the second book, which young authors especially are not really equipped to ignore. But I really liked it. I recommend it if you're in the mood for a doorstop novel. The paperback of Sitting on Fire, the American paperback edition, is actually lovely. So, there's no reason why you have to wait around to find a hardcover copy in your little free library. All right. This is Francine Matthews. This is Jack 1939. This is about a very young Jack Kennedy in Paris, and in Europe, just in general, just as World War II is starting. All meticulously based on fact, and yet there's a great fictional story in here. I heard about it ahead of time and thought, there's no way that's going to work. I'm a rather exacting reader when it comes to the... We're almost done. We're going to ignore that because we're almost done. I'm an exacting reader when it comes to the Kennedys. I know a lot about them. I thought, okay, if you do this, he's going to be out of character the whole time. No, neither him nor his family. The whole thing of it is wonderfully done. I've never seen this in a hardcover. I've never seen, if it came out in paperback, I've never seen the paperback. So I only have this advanced copy, but I recommend it. If you're a Kennedy fan and if you're a historical fiction fan. Okay, and then there's this last one. This is the last one we have to do. This is also historical fiction. This is Lizzie Borden. This is See What I Have Done. And that is the cover, the unadorned cover of my, this is an advanced copy. This is a reader's edition. And this is by Sarah Schmidt, and I loved it. I loved it a lot more than, I think it was Jennifer at Insert Literary Pun here, who did a very good review of this book. Where its flaws, it has one major besetting flaw, in my opinion, and I think partially in hers. It has one major besetting flaw, one weird character who does not belong in the book. Plain and simple, just does not belong in the book. The author probably thought, I think this was a debut, the author probably looked at that character and thought, well, I will do a whole bunch of interesting, important things through this character, but she doesn't end up doing that. Whether she thinks she does or not, she doesn't end up doing that. So instead, this character is just sort of hanging around, and when you're dealing with events this charged and dramatic, you don't want any deadweight like that. But I still found those sections good, and I found the rest of it really good. Certainly the best novel that I've read about Lizzie Borden. I've read quite a few of them, but also one of the best books on the subject, just in general. An amazing novel, I thought, which is why I have kept it all this time. And that is it. Those are the front books for this last bookshelf. So tomorrow we will do the bookshelf itself and finish with this bookcase. Then we'll move on to the next one, and it'll be done in the fireplace. So I will adjourn for now, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.